Sakura or cherry blossoms are flowers that bloom on prunus trees. These beautiful flowers are located in Japan and they're considered Japan's national flower. They're known to bloom in the springtime, anywhere from March to even May. And depending on the location in Japan, they will bloom in a different month and date. People hold hanami or flower viewing in parks and have picnics under the cherry blossom trees. Hi there, boys and girls. Let's go ahead and get started with this week's lesson. We've learned all about cherry blossoms, so now it's time to create our very own cherry blossom art. So the first thing I want to go ahead and do is make sure I have a piece of paper here in front of me. I want to make sure I have a pencil, and of course I want to make sure I have any materials that I'm going to be using to color my artwork. That could be crayons, colored pencils, markers, or even paint if you have that with you at home. So let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pencil, and the very first thing I'm going to be drawing is the vase. So please watch how I do this, because we're creating some very lovely cherry blossom art. And I'm going to go ahead and start off by drawing my face. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a nice curved line here. It looks a little bit like a letter C. And then I want to also go ahead and do that on the opposite side. And I'm going to make it pretty even as much as I can. All right. Now the very next thing I'm going to do is just connect these two curved lines that I've created by doing this, as you can see. So before I move on, I'm going to go ahead and repeat the steps I've done with a black marker so that you can see them a whole lot better. All right. So the very next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is make the top of my vase. And this is that narrow part, meaning it's thinner than the rest of the vase. And that's where all the opening is and the flower branches will sit. So let's go ahead and make that. I'm going to start off by making a nice diagonal line, very short. And I'm going to do it again on the other side. One more time. And then I'll go ahead and close it all off by making a line that goes across, just like so. All right, there's my vase. So now the very next step is to create the tree branches. Let's go ahead and do that together. All right, boys and girls, so we're gonna go ahead and now we're gonna add the branches and cherry blossoms to our flower vase. What I'll tell you right now is that your flower vase, if there's a design that you want to put in particular on it, you can do that. If you want to add polka dots, stripes, zigzags, wavy lines, or anything like that, you may add that to your vase. But what we want to focus on right now is we're gonna work on the, like I mentioned, branches and cherry blossoms. So we're gonna go ahead and make the branches first. In order to make the branches, keep this in mind, is that branches are not straight. They have all different kinds of little curves, bends, bumps, and twigs that are attached to it. So let's go ahead and make the branches. Watch as I do that. I'm going to add a few, and they're going to be in different angles. They're not going to be all going straight up. So it can look a little more natural. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make, remember, these lines don't have to be perfect, because remember, branches are not just straight lines, right? They're a little bumpy. And you'll see me adding different pieces to it. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. Watch, it's a nice little bumpy line. And I'm adding little smaller twigs or branches to my main branch, and then I'm going to keep going. So now here on the screen you're going to see an example of a sakura flower or a cherry blossom flower, and you'll see that this flower has 5 petals. So we're gonna go ahead and create 5 petaled flowers. So we're gonna add those here attached to our branches, and you're gonna see that my branches are a little dark because I put a lot of pressure on the pencil. As you're drawing, you should be putting very light amount of pressure, and that will help you when it comes to erasing or you want to get rid of things as you're drawing your flowers. So go ahead, I'm going to show you 2 different ways to draw a flower, and pay attention to that. All right, so the very first way is I'm going to show you how to draw the flower. Just looking straight up at you, you can see all 5 petals. So I'm going to add a flower right here. I'm going to make a little circle so it can help me and it can be my guide. And I'm going to go ahead and add a petal to each section. Here, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 petals. So that's one way. The petal is right there, right in front of you. And the next way to draw a petal is by doing this. You're gonna make it look like the flower itself. I'm gonna pretend it's like a little heart. It's facing a different direction. So to do that, or it's gonna look a little bit like a butterfly. To do that, I drew the petals like so. And if you look at it, yeah, it does look like a little butterfly, but this is actually the sakura petal facing a different direction, right? The flower itself is facing a different direction. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue adding flower petals to my little tree branches here, and we'll see you all when I'm finished. Alright, boys and girls, so this is the cherry blossom vase with the cherry blossoms all done. What I went ahead and did was that I added my details to my vase, as I mentioned that you could do, but I also went ahead and I traced my branches so that you could see them a whole lot better, and so I could also show you the flower petals all traced. So my next step for me is going to be that I want to make sure I erase all the little pencil markings I see that I don't want there, which is a number one reason why you want to be sure that you don't draw so dark. That way you're able to erase any pencil markings that you don't want. Remember, if you don't want to draw very dark, just press very lightly on your pencil, okay? So now, my next step, I've talked about what I've done. I'm going to go ahead and show you my process of coloring. Remember, you can use whatever art supplies you'd like. It could be markers, colored pencils, crayons, or anything of that sort. I always like to mix it up, so I always make sure I add more than one art supply in my artwork. You can do the same, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to erase and I'm going to color, and just pay attention to all the flower petals I've added here, okay? I'm going to go ahead and begin. Let's get coloring. Alright there, boys and girls, so we're all done here. I've finished my cherry blossom vase. I have my vase, as you can see here. I added the design that I wanted to. Here, this is the ground. I wanted to show that this was the ground or the surface that it was sitting on. My background, I left it white. You can color it whatever color you'd like, but I left it white. And of course, here are my cherry blossom branches with the cherry blossoms themselves. So this is what it looks like when it's all done. Make sure that you upload this onto Google Classroom. If you have any troubles uploading it, please let me know. If you need to send it to me through email or through ClassDojo, please do that. ClassDojo is the second best place to go ahead and send me your submission of your artwork in the event that it doesn't work out too much on Google Classroom. But there you go. I hope you all enjoyed learning all about cherry blossoms and how to create your very own cherry blossom vase. We'll see you next time. Bye!